I want you to close your eyes for a moment and picture a woman named Eleanor. Eleanor, from Seattle, was 68 years old when she first came into my office. She wasn't walking, she was shuffling. Her hands were white-knuckling aluminum walker. Every millimeter of movement was visible agony. Eleanor had stage 4 osteoarthritis in both knees. Bone on bone, her orthopedic surgeon had told her. He scheduled her for a double knee replacement the following month. But the most heartbreaking part wasn't the physical pain. It was the fear in her eyes. Eleanor had spent her entire life as a vibrant, independent elementary school teacher. Now, she was on the verge of moving into an assisted living facility. She told me, "Dr. Thompson, I'm terrified. If I get this surgery, and it fails, or if I just keep deteriorating, I'm going to lose my freedom. I'll be dependent on my children for everything, even going to the bathroom." She felt like her life was already over. But now, I want you to look at Eleanor today. This is Eleanor 12 weeks after that first appointment. No walker, no cane, and most importantly, no surgery. Her operation was cancelled because her surgeon, the very same one, could not believe the regeneration visible on her updated X-rays and MRI. He called it a medical miracle. Eleanor isn't on handfuls of addictive narcotics anymore. She's active. She's playing with her grandchildren. She has her life back. What was the miracle cure? It wasn't a breakthrough drug. It wasn't some incredibly expensive injection derived from unborn sharks. It was a simple, profoundly powerful, and entirely natural biological method that, sadly, 97% of my medical colleagues completely overlook. They are trained to see symptoms and prescribe a chemical cover-up, like ibuprofen, or a surgical fix. They aren't trained in nutritional biochemistry at the cellular level. They don't realize that for many people, the very healthy foods they are eating every single day are actively acting as a solvent, digesting the precious, shock-absorbing cartilage in their knees. By removing specific joint killers and optimizing her nutrient intake, Eleanor enabled her own body to do what it was designed to do: heal itself. In today's video, I am going to show you exactly how she did it. We are going to expose the 5 toxic foods that you absolutely must eliminate if you want to save your knee cartilage and maintain your independence as you age. Pay close attention, because what you are about to hear could save you from the surgeon's knife. Now, before we get to the foods, I need to know who I am speaking to today. Every single one of you watching this is on a unique health journey. If you are experiencing knee stiffness, that agonizing grinding sensation when you stand up, or if you wake up every morning in pain, I want you to do me a small favor right now. Stop the video for just a moment and go down to the comments section. Please comment with your age, your typical daily activity level, e.g., 62, retired, minimal activity, or 55, 8 hours desk work, moderate activity, and your primary symptom, e.g., stiffness, clicking, sharp pain after walking. I read every single comment. This helps me tailor future videos precisely to your needs, because this information is crucial. Why is this so vital? Because if you are over 50, a dedicated office worker who sits all day, or even a postpartum mom who is suddenly feeling joint changes after pregnancy, you have probably been lied to. You've been told that your knee pain is just old age, that it's genetic, and there's nothing you can do about it but manage the pain. As a healthcare professional with over 3 decades of clinical experience, I am here to tell you, that is scientifically inaccurate. Your cartilage doesn't just expire like a carton of milk because you turned 60. Cartilage is living tissue. It is constantly being broken down and rebuilt. The reason it is deteriorating is not genetics, and it's not time itself. The root cause, more often than not, is a profound deficiency in a specific, scientifically quantified volume of key nutrients, combined with a persistent, chronic overload of metabolic toxins that actively block the repair process. Your genetics did not condemn you to a walker. Your daily, modern environment did. And the beautiful part is, you have the power to change that. Who am I to make such bold claims? My name is Dr. David Thompson. I have been in active clinical practice for over 30 years, starting way back when the answer to every joint ache was simply more rest. In those 3 decades, I have seen thousands upon thousands of patients, from elite athletes who ruined their knees, to postpartum moms like Sarah, who thought she was too young for arthritis, and especially countless office workers who are literally rusting while they sit. My mission, and the entire purpose of this channel, is very simple. I am here to act as your trusted guide, using my experience and rigorous scientific nutrition to empower you to live a long, healthy, and independent life. I want to save you from becoming dependent on a healthcare system that is far too eager to prescribe medications with dangerous side effects, rather than investigating the root metabolic cause of your disease. I have seen the transformation with my own eyes. I know this is possible, but we have to work with biology, not against it. So, how do you know if your body is currently destroying its own knee cartilage at this very moment? Your body doesn't speak English. It speaks in symptoms. These are the alarm bells. I want you to take a quick, honest self-assessment. I'm going to list 5 very common, frequently occurring symptoms of cartilage degradation. As I go through this list, I want you to count how many you have experienced in the last 30 days. Write that number down, and at the end, I'm going to ask you to comment that number below. 1. Crepitus, the grinding when you kneel, squat, or walk up a flight of stairs. Do you hear a grinding, popping, or crunching sound inside your knee? This is not normal. It's the sound of rough, damaged cartilage, or worse, bone, friction against bone. It's the sound of erosion. 2. Morning stiffness, greater than 30 minutes when you first wake up. Do your knees feel locked, rigid, or incredibly stiff? Does it take you more than 30 minutes of moving around, maybe waiting for a warm shower to act, before you can walk with a normal gait? 3. Chronic, dull aching. Is there a persistent, low-level, throbbing ache that seems to live deep inside your knee joint? It may get slightly worse with activity, but it's always there, like a faint background noise you can't turn off. 4. Pain after gelling, prolonged sitting. If you sit at your computer desk for 2 hours, or drive in a car, do you find your knees have gelled? Are they so stiff and painful to straighten out that the first 10 steps are an agonizing process of limping and groaning? 5. Weakness or buckling. Do you have sudden, unpredictable moments where you feel like your knee might give way or buckle under your weight? This weakness often occurs when your body is trying to compensate for an instability caused by cartilage loss. All right, how many did you count? 1, 3, maybe all 5? Comment that number below. Don't be shy. We are all on this path together. If you have even one of these symptoms, it means the destructive process is already active. And this process isn't random. It's driven by 3 main culprits that are running rampant in your body. Ischemic ischemia. This is just a medical term for starved of blood. Your cartilage has no direct blood supply. It relies on nutrient-rich fluid diffusing into it. If your circulation is impaired by metabolic issues, your cartilage is effectively starving to death. Oxidative stress. Imagine a metal pipe rusting in the rain. At the cellular level, metabolic toxins are creating free radicals that are rusting your collagen matrix. Chronic low-grade inflammation. This is the big one. It's like having a slow, smoldering fire inside your joint space. This fire isn't killing off a temporary infection. It's a dysfunctional immune response that is actively dissolving your own tissue. The symptoms you are feeling are the visible results of this internal battle. Now, let's talk about the primary fuel for that inflammatory fire. Let's start with food number 1, and this one is often a massive surprise and a bit controversial. You've been told it's part of a complete breakfast. You've probably given it to your kids or grandkids, thinking it was a healthy alternative to soda. It is commercial, high-fructose fruit juice, specifically the orange, grape, or apple variety that sits on a shelf for months at a time. This food is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Why? Let's meet Thomas. Thomas, from Chicago, was 58 years old, an accountant, and he drank a large glass of orange juice every morning. He was struggling with stage 2 knee arthritis. We simply removed his juice and replaced it with a specialized antioxidant tea and a whole fruit smoothie. How long did it take? In just 3 weeks, Thomas was driving his car without stiffness. He said it was like someone had oiled his hinges. How is this healthy juice destroying your knees? We need to look at the scientific mechanism at the molecular level, specifically a metabolic pathway involving nitric oxide, but the wrong kind, and uric acid. You see, a glass of commercial orange juice is not fruit. It is effectively a solution of highly concentrated fructose, stripped of its original fiber. Fiber is the buffer that slows sugar absorption in the small intestine. When you flood your liver with that much concentrated fructose, your liver initiates an emergency metabolic reaction called the uric acid cascade. As the fructose is processed, your body dramatically increases its production of uric acid as a byproduct. High uric acid is famous for causing gout, which is characterized by excruciating, needle-like crystals in the joint space. But even before you get gout, that chronically elevated uric acid does something far more insidious to your knee cartilage. High uric acid acts as a signaling molecule that causes a hyperexpression of an enzyme called matrix metalloproteinase, MMPs, specifically MMP1 and MMP13. In plain English, these enzymes are collagen digesters. Your immune system uses them in small amounts to clean up old cartilage. But when fructose fuels the uric acid cascade, your body produces an army of these Pac-Man enzymes, and they swarm your joint space, actively eating the type 2 collagen matrix that makes your cartilage tough yet flexible. It's not aging, it's a biochemical solvent you are drinking every morning. This isn't just my 30-year observation. This is rock-solid research evidence. Let's look at a key study published in the esteemed medical journal Nutrients in 2018. Researchers followed over 1,000 adults with knee OA risk and found a direct, statistically significant correlation between sugary beverage consumption, specifically high-fructose corn syrup and fructose-rich juices, and the accelerated narrowing of the knee joint space over a 4-year period, as measured by precise quantitative MRI. In other words, the more juice they drank, the faster their cartilage simply disappeared. The study concluded that excessive fructose intake independently drives the degenerative process. So, here are your practical instructions for removal. How do you actually do it? 1. Eliminate. Immediately. Stop all shelf-stable, pasteurized, from concentrate, or even not from concentrate, fruit juices. They are fructose bombs with all the benefit of the original fruit long since cooked away. 2. Ideal time. Replace that morning glass of juice. Do not drink concentrated fructose at any time, but especially not first thing on an empty stomach when absorption is highest. 3. Notes on combinations. To prevent damage, you must reintroduce the elements that juice removes. If you want the flavor, eat a whole orange. The inherent fiber is crucial. It acts as a waste filter, or like sunglasses inside your intestine, slowing the fructose absorption so the liver can manage it without triggering the massive uric acid cascade. Now, I want to ask you, were you a regular juice drinker, or are you surprised to hear this healthy staple is on our toxic list? Comment "juice surprised" or "no juice" below. Now we are moving to food number 2, which is arguably the single largest source of inflammation in the modern world. I guarantee it is in your pantry right now, disguised under names that sound plant-based and healthy. These are industrial vegetable oils, specifically soybean oil, corn oil, safflower oil, and cottonseed oil. We are so indoctrinated to think vegetable means good. Let's look at Maria. Maria was a 35-year-old postpartum mom from Texas. After her second pregnancy, she was devastated by severe, shifting joint pain in her knees that her doctors couldn't explain. She thought she was falling apart at 35. She was using standard soybean-based margarine and cooking with vegetable oil spray daily. We did one simple thing. We cleared her pantry. We removed all industrial seed oils and switched her to pure extra virgin olive oil, EVOO, and avocado oil. She didn't use any new medications or do new exercises. In just 21 days, 3 weeks, she could not believe the change. Her generalized knee heat was gone. She was walking to her baby's crib without a struggle. She felt whole again, solely by changing her cooking fat. This change worked because of the scientific mechanism of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation at the cellular level, particularly involving the crucial balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. We need both of these fats to survive, but our bodies were designed to operate on a ratio of roughly 1:1 or 2:1, 1 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. These industrial seed oils are unprecedented in human history. They were invented by factory chemists, not by nature. They are massively, pathologically, in excess of what your body can manage. For example, safflower oil has an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of a staggering 100:1. When you ingest this flood of omega-6, linoleic acid, your body uses it as a precursor to create a highly inflammatory molecule called prostaglandin E2, PGE2. This molecule, PGE2, is like pouring gasoline on that smoldering fire inside your joint. Elevated PGE2 has been shown in studies to increase the apoptosis, or the programmed death, of chondrocyte, the very cells that are responsible for creating new cartilage. When you cook with these oils, you aren't just eating fat. You are actively killing the cells that are trying to rebuild your knees. You are turning your cartilage into brittle, rusty hinges. The research evidence for this is absolutely undeniable. Let's look at a key study, published in the High-Impact Journal of Nutrition in 2011. This research looked at thousands of participants and found that individuals with the highest dietary ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids had a significantly greater risk of both the incidence and progression of knee osteoarthritis. The researchers concluded that the overconsumption of omega-6 fats, particularly linoleic acid from these industrial seed oils, leads to a pro-inflammatory environment that accelerates joint degradation. So, here are your practical instructions. Let's clean that pantry. 1. Eliminate. Do not use for cooking or consumption any soybean, corn, safflower, cottonseed, or the very common canola oil. Though it is lower in omega-6, it is highly processed. Stop buying vegetable oil spray. 2. Dosage and time. Shift immediately to extra virgin olive oil, EVOO, or avocado oil for all cooking. EVOO is special. It contains a polyphenolic compound called oleocanthal, which has been shown to inhibit the same inflammatory pathway, COX-1/COX-2, that ibuprofen and other NSAIDs do, but naturally, without the side effects. 3. Combination/dosage. A fantastic evening routine is to take a simple tablespoon of high-quality, authentic EVOO, maybe with a small amount of greens, with your evening meal. Why evening? Because studies show that cartilage breakdown enzymes are most active while you are in a fasted, resting state overnight. The oleocanthal from that EVOO acts like a natural, night-long, anti-inflammatory filter on that internal fire while you sleep. Now, I want to ask you, did you know that your cooking oil was this destructive? Comment oil fire if you are currently using these seed oils, or oil healer if you are already on the EVOO train. Alright, this next food is likely the cornerstone of many a quick lunch or a guilty pleasure dinner. You may not eat it every single day, but its effects are so profound that even occasional consumption accelerates your degeneration. This is the high-heat, deep-fried fast food burger. It's not just processed meat. The true culprit is the chemical reaction created by the cooking method itself. This food is a primary driver of a metabolic phenomenon that actively caramelizes your joint tissue. Let's look at Robert. Robert was a 62-year-old heavy equipment operator from Texas. He loved his fast food. It was convenient, and he was working 12-hour shifts. He was stage 3 OA and had severe crepitus. That grinding noise in his knees was so loud, his wife could hear it when he walked. He was on high doses of NSAIDs, ibuprofen, which were starting to irritate his stomach. We didn't just ask Robert to eat better. We made one specific trade. He replaced his fast food burger, that was deep-fried or high-heat grilled, with a slow-cooked, pasture-raised beef stew. How long? After 6 weeks, Robert came into my office, and he wasn't wincing. His grinding noise wasn't gone, but it was dramatically quieter. The inflammation had subsided enough that his cartilage was beginning to soften and rebuild its structural matrix. For the first time in years, he had hope. He could get out of his truck without assistance. This change worked because of the scientific mechanism of advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. What are AGEs? Let's use an easy-to-understand metaphor. Picture cooking a steak on an extremely hot, dry grill. What happens to the outside? It turns a caramelized brown color and becomes stiff, almost leathery. That brown crust is the visual evidence of AGEs. AGEs are formed when a combination of protein or fat meets a high-heat cooking method in the presence of even a small amount of sugar. Fast food burgers are notoriously cooked on super high-heat flat tops or deep-fried, and their buns often contain sugar or high-fructose corn syrup. This combination is an AGEs manufacturing plant. When you ingest these AGEs, they aren't just passive metabolic waste. They migrate to your cartilage and do two devastating things. 1. Direct cartilage stiffening. Tanning AGEs can cross-link, literally, chemically bind, with the type 2 collagen fibers in your cartilage. When this happens, it caramelizes or tins your cartilage, making it rigid, hard, and extremely brittle. Imagine trying to use a dried-out, cracked leather strap as a joint buffer. That's what your cartilage becomes. It loses its ability to absorb shock and simply shatters or tears under normal walking pressure. That is the true cause of crepitus. 2. Triggering chronic low-grade inflammation. Your immune system recognizes these cross-linked, glycation-hardened ages as foreign invaders. It initiates a chronic, smoldering inflammatory attack, further dissolving the tissue from within. It's like pouring acid on that already brittle leather. The research evidence for this is absolutely undeniable. Let's look at a key study, published in the high-impact journal Aging Research Reviews in 2018. Researchers examined the buildup of ages in human joint tissues and concluded that AGE accumulation in cartilage is a cardinal feature of osteoarthritis progression. They found that individuals with stage 3 or stage 4 OA had dramatically higher levels of these caramelized ages in their cartilage matrix compared to healthy joints of the same age. In other words, the amount of fast food, cooked at high heat, you have consumed in your lifetime is directly correlated to how hard and brittle your knee cartilage is right now. So, here are your practical instructions to prevent this damage. 1. Eliminate immediately. Remove deep-fried or extremely high-heat, high-fat, high-carb combinations like fast food burgers and French fries. They are ages bombs. Stop cooking your own ground beef or steak on maximum heat until it is a dark, charred crust. 2. Ideal time. Replace this at noon. Robert's noon trade, slow-cooked stew, was key. When you slow-cook meat in a liquid, like a stew or a pot roast, the presence of water prevents the ages reaction from occurring, even over long periods. 3. Combination/combination. If you must eat ground beef, use high-quality, grass-fed beef, which is lower in inflammatory omega-6, and cook it slow and low in a liquid. This prevents the formation of the cross-linking ages. A morning routine. If you must have a patty for breakfast, cook it in a moist environment, covered pan with water, poached, or steamed, to minimize ages. Now, I want to ask you, are you ready to trade your burger for a pot roast to save your knees? Comment pot roast or burger time if you're still not convinced below. Now we are moving to food number 4, and this is another one that might seem mundane, but it is hiding in plain sight in almost every meal, acting as a massive multiplier for joint decay. This is excessive, refined table salt, specifically the highly processed sodium chloride that is added to almost all boxed, canned, and prepared meals. Let's look at Linda. Linda was a 58-year-old office worker from Ohio. She was diligent. She sat at her computer desk for 8 hours a day. She frequently snacks on savory items, refined chips, crackers, or canned soups. Her knees were in stage 2 OA, and she had chronic, dull pain. We didn't ask Linda to stop all salt. We made one specific nutritional trade. She switched her snacking habits from savory, highly salted items to small handfuls of raw, unsalted nuts or specific fruits, and we replaced all table salt with a high-quality, iodine-fortified sea salt, sparingly. How long? After just 4 weeks, Linda's chronic aching had dramatically subsided, especially her gelling pain after sitting at her desk. It was like someone had released a kink in the garden hose of her internal circulation. This change worked because of the scientific mechanism of ischemia, poor blood flow, creating oxidative stress in the cartilage cells, chondrocyte. You see, your cartilage, as I mentioned, has no direct blood supply. It relies on nutrient-rich fluid to diffuse into it from the synovial membrane. This membrane itself is fed by capillaries. When you ingest excessive amounts of refined sodium chloride, table salt, it directly affects the circulation. High sodium in your bloodstream increases the production of a hormone called endothelin-1, which is a powerful vasoconstrictor. It causes your tiny capillaries to clinch up or constrict. Think of it like putting a severe kink in that garden hose that is feeding your lawn. If you constrict the blood flow to the capillaries near your joint, you are starving your cartilage cells of oxygen and essential repair nutrients. This state of constant, low-grade ischemia, starvation, creates a flood of oxidative stress, think rust. Your chondrocyte, overwhelmed and starved, can't rebuild type 2 collagen, and they begin to signal for help by releasing more of those cartilage-digesting MMP enzymes. You are effectively smothering your cartilage cells while you sit at your desk. This isn't just my observation. This is rock-solid research. Let's look at a key study published in the esteemed medical journal Nutrients in 2020. Researchers examined the link between sodium intake and knee OA severity. They found that individuals with the highest sodium consumption had significantly greater severity of cartilage damage and synovial inflammation, as measured by precise standardized OA indices. The researchers concluded that high dietary sodium is positively correlated with worse joint health, likely driven by its detrimental effect on capillary function and the creation of an oxidative, ischemic environment inside the joint. So, here are your practical instructions to restore your circulation. 1. Eliminate immediately. Stop adding refined table salt to everything. And, more importantly, eliminate the source of 75% of our excessive salt, processed foods. Stop eating standard potato chips, crackers, canned soups, and prepared, high-sodium helper meals. They are sodium traps. 2. Ideal time. Your evening routine is critical. Avoid high-salt meals at night. When you are horizontal and your body is in a fasted state, excessive sodium can contribute to nocturnal, nighttime, joint swelling as fluid moves from the restricted capillaries into the synovial space. 3. Combination. Shift your focus to high-potassium foods to balance the sodium you do ingest. Your morning routine. Trade your highly salted cereal for potassium-rich bananas or avocados. The high potassium helps relax the vessels and improve blood flow. Also, replace your table salt with a high-quality sea salt, sparingly, for trace minerals, rather than the pure sodium chloride that constricts your vessels. Now, I want to ask you, were you a heavy salter, or are you surprised to learn how it smothers your joints? Comment, salt surprised, or no salt below. Alright, we have reached food number 5, the final and, for many, the most heartbreaking one to eliminate. This is the cornerstone of the standard Western diet, the thing that fills our bellies and gives us immediate comfort. This is refined white flour, found in white bread, standard pasta, white flour tortillas, cakes, and pastries. This food, more than any other, acts as a metabolic accelerator pedal for systemic joint destruction. Let's look at Michael. Michael was a 60-year-old retired mechanic from Michigan. He loved his pasta, his standard sandwiches, and he frequently had a donut for a mid-morning snack. He was stage 4 OA and had very low crepitus, grinding, but his knees were constantly red, hot, and swollen. He looked like he had water on the knee, 24/7. We didn't ask Michael to go carb-free. We made one single, powerful metabolic trade. He replaced all white flour products with complex, sprouted whole grain, like Ezekiel bread, and replaced pasta with sweet potato or quinoa. How long? After just 12 weeks, Michael's constant redness and heat was gone. His knees still grated, but the pain that was associated with the inflammation had subsided dramatically. He went from barely walking around his living room to being able to work in his garden for an hour at a time. This change worked because of the scientific mechanism of high glycemic index, HGI, foods driving insulin-spiking inflammation. Refined white flour is a HGI food. When you ingest it, e.g., a white bread sandwich, your digestive system strips it down to simple sugar almost instantly, creating a rapid, massive spike in blood glucose. Your pancreas, in response, has to release an equally massive spike of insulin to move that sugar into your cells. This state of chronic, high insulin is not just a precursor to diabetes. Insulin is a signaling hormone. High circulating insulin activates an aggressive, pro-inflammatory cytokine in your immune system called interleukin-1, IL-1. IL-1 is like a general that has been ordered to wage war. When IL-1 is activated by high insulin, it does two devastating things specifically to your knee cartilage. 1. Activates cartilage-digesting enzymes. It tells that army of MMP enzymes to become hyperaggressive, dissolving the existing cartilage matrix at an unprecedented rate. 2. Prevents repair. It specifically tells your chondrocyte, your cartilage repair cells, to stand down. It inhibits their ability to synthesize new type 2 collagen. So, when you eat white flour, you are both starting the destructive fire and locking the door to the repair workers. It is the ultimate cartilage destroyer. The research evidence is overwhelming. Let's look at a key study, published in the journal Osteoarthritis and Cartilage in 2016. Researchers followed thousands of patients with knee OA risk and found a direct, dose-dependent relationship between high glycemic index foods, like white flour, and the progression of knee osteoarthritis. The study concluded that a diet that frequently spikes insulin, even if it is within a normal calorie range, leads to accelerated cartilage decay through this dysfunctional inflammatory signaling. In other words, the more white bread you eat, the faster your rebuild workers are disabled and your Pac-Man enzymes are activated. So, here are your practical instructions to reclaim your repair process. 1. Eliminate. Immediately. Stop all white bread, white flour tortillas, standard pasta, cakes, cookies, and pastries. They are HGI insulin bombs. 2. Ideal time. This is key. Your evening routine should be minimal to zero refined carbs. Ideally, if you must have a carb for energy, consume sprouted whole grains, which are complex and slow digesting, at noon with your meal, as Robert did. Do not spike your insulin before bed, as high insulin overnight will block the cartilage repair that is supposed to happen while you sleep. 3. Combination. To prevent damage, always combine your complex carbohydrates with a necessary fat source. For example, if you have a slice of sprouted whole grain bread for lunch, add avocado, healthy fat, to slow the digestion further. Do not have a complex carb by itself. Now, I want to ask you, are you ready to trade your morning donut for some oatmeal to save your knees? Comment sprouted grains or donut time if you're still not convinced, below. Alright, let's quickly summarize the 5 toxic offenders we've exposed today that you absolutely must remove if you want to save your knee cartilage. 1. Commercial fruit juices, high fructose - uric acid - MMPs, collagen digesters. Swap 4. Whole fruit. 2. Industrial seed oils, high omega 6 prostaglandin E2, the inflammatory Firestarter, chondrocyte death. Swap 4. EVOO/avocado oil. 3. Deep-fried fast food. Burgers/fries, high heat plus carb plus protein Ages rigid, brittle, caramelized, cartilage, crepitus. Swap 4. Slow-cooked stews. 4. Excessive table salt, high sodium capillary constriction, vasoconstriction ischemia, starvation chondrocyte damage. Swap 4. Trace mineral sea salt, high potassium. 5. Refined white flour, high glycemic index insulin spikes interleukin 1, IL-1 disables repair, activates destruction. Swap 4. Sprouted whole grains, complex carbs. I have to be honest with you. If you are experiencing grinding or stiffness, and you continue to eat these 5 foods, your trajectory is very simple. Your cartilage will continue to disappear until you are stage 4, bone on bone, and you will have no choice but to undergo the very knee replacement surgery you are so terrified of. The medications, the injections, they only delay the inevitable if you are still feeding the toxic fire with these foods. But there is so much hope. The beautiful secret of nutritional biochemistry is that when you remove these 5 toxins, and you start giving your body the nutrient timing and the exact rebuilding blocks, type 2 collagen precursors, vitamin K2, beta-carotene, that it has been starved of, the human body is capable of miraculous things. It can regenerate. It can repair itself. It can reverse the decay. I have seen it happen with my own eyes, with thousands of patients like Eleanor and Michael. It is possible for you too. Don't let joint pain dictate your future. Don't let fear steal your independence. Your journey back to pain-free, active living starts with what you put on your plate today. I am on this journey with you. To make sure you don't miss our next crucial video where we will reverse this list and expose the top 5 foods that rebuild knee cartilage, you need to subscribe to this channel and tap the notification bell right now. Don't let arthritis win. Take back control. I will see you in the next video. Until then, remember, your body has the power to heal itself if you give it the right tools.